this time I'm going to do it differently. I am, as a woman, I'm going to show you the Israeli way, the chutzpah. And I'm going to flirt with you. And I'm going to invite you to shine with us, to benefit the Israeli spirit, the spirit of the people, the spirit of the innovation environment, the unique DNA that we have here. Actually, Australia and Israel relationship has started with the formation of the Israeli state. Australia was one of the first nations to establish a diplomatic relationship and agreement with Israel after the independence war and when we established our state. It's expanded through the years to trade, research, technological cooperation. But unfortunately, the total impact of the economic bilateral trade is approximately $8 million. And I'm confident that this figure does not represent the potential that we have between our two countries. And time is wrapped up for Australian companies to step up and do more and more economic relations with Israel and look for all the outstanding opportunities we offer to you. In order to understand that, let's take a step back and look at all the challenges that our industries, and it doesn't matter which industries, are facing those days, including industries that probably you, one of you, or each of you is playing in. Let's take, for example, the industries that doing design manufacturing based on manufacturing cycles. They are challenged by new players who are able to utilize 3D printing technologies and bring a product to the market in 1/5 of the cost and 1/5 of the time. Let's take a look at water and agriculture. They have new technologies that deliver and providing improving yield, improving quality, improving delivery, and all of it by saving energy and become more and more eco-friendly. So, dear friends, players who are sitting on the fence and waiting to the dust to settle, they might find themselves obsolete. If we take, for example, the automotive sector, the car is no longer a piece of metal on wheels that you drive from one place to another. It's a full IT system. It can be operated with minimum human interfering. It can include cyber, it includes connected car technologies, it includes big data. So, if you are one of these industries, a manager of one of these industries or many others, what I suggest you to do and recommend you to do is don't apply the same line of thinking in order to solve these challenges and problems. You cannot use the same tools you used in the past. They are already a part of the problem. You cannot do that because new technologies are able, new players or existing ones, to do business differently, quicker, better, and cheaper. And you cannot stay behind. You have to catch it. Because if you stay still, you're going to be shot. So what does it leave you with? It leaves you at the beginning of an exciting path, what we call innovation. And when we talk about innovation, we talk about Israel. And I want to offer you a seat in one of the best places in the world that practice innovation. I want to offer you a seat in a nation that for many years ranked at among 3 top countries all over the world by meaning when we say the word innovation. Take, for example, Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv ranks as the second after the Silicon Valley for innovation ecosystems. And you know, of course, the differences with the sizes of Tel Aviv and the Silicon Valley. So we are all there. And innovation, it's not a buzzword for Israel. It's a reality. It's a success that impacts our life, that impacts people from all over the world on a daily basis. And I'll give you some examples. We talked before, I think it was John, about Mobileye. Mobileye is a driver assistance systems that providing warning for accident prevention. We have the Waze, the social GPS that takes one driver condition, travel information, and share it with all the others. We're talking about the giving image pill, a pill that we use for medical uses in order to just take an X-ray and a photo of our stomach. We're talking about Intel, the processors of Intel that designed and produced in Israel. Discon key, who those days cannot do anything without any Discon key in his pocket. That's what makes all these business leaders sing the same melody. When you are looking for innovation, come to Israel. And I think that you saw them in the entrance when you just got in. When Warren Buffett said, if you are looking for brains, stop in Israel, there are not need to go farther. They are not only talking. They make sure that the companies they are leading have roots on the ground of Israel. Because those companies need to survive, need to face those challenges, and need to keep ahead in the market. And they actually only the 6 out of the 300 multinationals that you have already seen that slide before. But I urge you, take a minute and look at it. It's a really great puzzle of the most technological companies from all over the world. Take a look at it. None is missing. I think that you're convinced until now and after all the lectures and the pitches that you have before that Israel is the best place and it's a very good place to be. But why is it happened in Israel? Do we have any special recipe like a chocolate cake? It happens in Israel because we have something that we call ecosystem. And again, it's not a buzzword. It's a real word. It's based on 4 main pillars. First one, like the Australian one, we have a very strong economy, a vibrant, resilient, diverse economy. We went through the 2008 economic crisis with a positive GDP growth, unlike many other countries. But like Australia, that's why we're alike. That's when it's a good start for both of us to make cooperation together. A lot of this is because of a great, outstanding policy of our central bank. We have a great academy. Our academic institutions are one of the best and strongest in the world, with 12 Nobel Prize winners and a high ratio of engineers. People is behind everything. The people in Israel are behind all the numbers and all the statistics. The people in Israel are highly educated, but not only educated by degrees. They grew through a culture that encourages taking risks and views entrepreneurship as an approach to life. They grew through a culture that teach them to dare, to take risks, to do the unbelievable, to think about the next step when you cannot see it. As Albert Einstein used to say, imagination is more important than knowledge. So these are the Israeli brains. The blazing R&D, Israel, even though it's that small, with that small of budget, we invest more than 4.5% of our GDP in R&D. And it's marked budget. When there is a cut, there is no cut on this budget. Because we believe that this is the important and not the urgent. We want to make sure. We want to make sure that we're going to invest in creating the future, because otherwise, when we'll be in the future, we won't be there. And of course, out of 230,000 engineers, almost 40% engage with R&D. That's a huge number, the highest in the world. So that's all those pillars, all this ecosystem, what make Google to come and settle down in Israel with $500 million annual revenue, with 5 acquisitions, with 2 R&D centers, a huge company. But not only Google coming from the sector of ICT. We also have Microsoft. We also have Applied Materials. But innovation, ladies and gentlemen, is in our DNA. And it affected not only ICT. It started from ICT, but it all goes all the way through industrial, traditional industry, and advanced manufacturing. And I want to give you some examples. We talked before, I just mentioned the 3D printing technologies. The 3D printing technologies, you probably won't be surprised that one of the best players in the market are Israeli companies. They design and produce those printers in Israel. Israel is also a home for Netafim, a leading company for low-pressure irrigation systems. Israel also have advanced manufacturing in steel manufacturing. That's why Warren Buffett acquired Iskar, a local company that stays in Israel and manufactures steel blades. Intel, a shining example for a big multinational company that invests in Israel billions of dollars, starting 1972, having almost 10,000 employees, and having $11 billion investment in Israel. By creating and establishing in Israel R&D center in parallel to advanced manufacturing, Intel stays advanced and ahead of its competitors a year after year. Because you cannot buy technology and goes back home. The time you get by the aircraft, then it's already history. Then that's the reason Intel and many others said, no, we stay here when things are happening. Because we want to make sure that when the change comes, we're robust enough and we're there already. And we can grab it and be still ahead and have the advantage. So, dear friends, all I want you to ask you is please come and shine with us. Try our open doors for this cooperation. There's actually another one thing that I would like to emphasize as a benefit for this business relationship. The government of Israel is very unique. The government of Israel gives a platform, a supportive platform, a grants and incentive for R&D, regarding R&D, regarding employment, regarding capital investments. We hug our startups. We not only hug them, we share the risk with them. We give them the confidence to dare. We also give them it to all the foreign investors to come to Israel, because we really believe that it's going to be a win-win situation for both of us. Every side brings it from his own nation, and the combination can create a great synergy between our two nations. And when you talk about innovation and when you talk about the global future world, long distance is not an issue. The willing is the issue. the open mind, the thinking out of the box. So my unit, as well as the chief scientist that is going to be on this stage in a few minutes, are calling you to find us as a gateway to the ecosystem of Israel. We can help you. We want to ask you to come to a second date with us, because I'm sure it's going to be worth it for both sides. And it's about time. Don't hesitate. Don't wait, really. The train is speeding. And any minute that goes, it's a minute that's gone. So thank you very much and enjoy this event. And please come to us and contact us. Thank you.
Ziva, thank you very much. I'll take that second date.
No.
All right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you could move in from that, the seats on the aisle, please, just so latecomers can fit in. And if you'd like to move forward, I'm advised it might be worth your while for the next presentation. For those of you who were in this room in session 3, you heard and learned from the wonderful Alan Feld and benefit from the experience of his 20 years in this field. So please make welcome to the stage Alan Feld.